Without naming names, are you able to say how many people hit the final interview process?
We had 5 hitting the final interview process. The interesting thing was that of those 5, 4 of them were working in the game. So that was the way that the directors viewed it. They weren't looking at people who had been in management before and had moved on for whatever reason, usually dismissal in one form or another. We looked at people who were actually, 4 of the 5 were working in the game now and were still actively in the game. I had to talk to 2 managing directors to ensure that they were aware that we were talking to them and ask for permission, so that was fine. And they knew where they were. 1 of the 5 withdrew and continued to work and is still working at a Premier League club now, and said that that was the route that he'd thought about it long and hard, and though he'd applied for the job, he wanted to withdraw because he was getting into the work he was doing and didn't want to move on. And there was only 1 on the short list, and we won't say who that was, but I bet it's a great guess, who was not actively in the game and who...
How much food for thought did that interview process give you, bearing in mind that so many good things were happening with Cav and his team?
A lot of food for thought, but you know what? At the end of the day, Cav came through as a very strong candidate, and I was a bit blown away the first week the way he tackled the job, and the whole of the United 3 tackled the job. So they had the courage, as I said earlier, to do things differently. The easy option was to take the option of doing what Greg had done and just keep the pot boiling, and we'll keep going in the same way with the same training sessions, the same routines, etc. They didn't. They immediately went into a totally different routine. They interviewed players on a one-to-one basis. They changed the training session within 24 hours. They changed the routine of working from heavy days to lighter days to reviews on video. They did all sorts of things. And so if it hadn't worked, and then they changed the shape of the team, and if it hadn't worked, then I'd have been less upset because they tried something different. I'd have been more upset if they'd just done a bit of the same, because it was obvious that there was a crisis of confidence inside the team at the time. Getting that first win against Sheffield just changed that confidence level completely, and then changed the way that we're operating. And maybe managers sometimes need a little bit of luck as well. A lot was planned, but sometimes you need a little bit of luck.
There's a real feeling, a real sense that the right decision has been made with appointing Cav.
Yeah. Look, it is the right decision. People are going to come to me and say, was it the cheap option? And my first retort to them will be, no, it was the right option. Was it no option is cheap? We entered into a contract with Greg, and we will be continuing to pay Greg all the way through this season. That's a fact of life, at whatever rate. So there's no cheap option when a club and the manager part company. Nobody walks away with nothing in the pocket. So that said, we will honour the contract and we go through. So there's just no cheap option at all. What it has done is given us continuity in the club. And so some of the philosophies that we had and the way we were looking at the way the club operates and the way that we know our way around the club, it's helped. But I'm having to build a new relationship with Graham, who I've never had before. I've always worked through somebody else, which was Greg Abbott. So yeah, but it's good, it's interesting, it's new. He'll learn a lot because we'll go through things that he hasn't done before, and he's in the final throes in the last 6 months of his pro licence. So that takes him to the place he wants to be, and he's now one of that group of 21 in the group of pro licensed people that he's working with at present. I think he's in a group of 10 or 11 who are now actually in management positions.